Yeah, my name's Lewis. I am an addict. It took me just over 9 years to admit and accept that. Um, I'm very defiant when it comes to admitting complete defeat. I'm very stubborn. I'm very arrogant when people try and tell me that I've got a problem. When in my delusional thinking, I feel like I haven't got a problem because it's his fault or her fault, or it's my childhood's fault or when I used to grow up when I grown up, or it's my dad's fault. I always had the blame on other people because I was too scared to look within. I was too scared to actually hold the mirror up to myself. But it's freeing today to admit that I'm an addict, and accept it. There's a difference between admitting it and accepting it. Welcome to anybody that's new. I class myself as recovered, and all that means is that I'm no longer suffering if I keep doing what I'm doing. And the way my sponsor explained it to me is I'm sponsored, by the way, and my sponsor knows I'm his sponsee. He holds me accountable on a daily basis. I sponsor other men. I have a home group that I rarely let down. I'm accountable to my home group. And I turn up and I show up when I say I'm going to show up. So I'm accountable today. So anybody that's new and you hear the word recovered, what does it actually mean? In layman's terms, because I don't really know big words, right? But in layman's terms, I've just been restored to health and strength. So let's say I get a cold. I recover from that cold. I'm not recovering for the rest of my life. Once I get that cold, I've recovered from it. But that doesn't mean I'm going to go and sit in a fridge and hope to catch that cold again. So basically, I don't drop the tools in recovery. I don't drop this program in recovery, which means I will stay recovered. The obsession to drink and use has left me and hasn't returned in the last coming up 4 years. It hasn't come back. I've not obsessed about drugs and drink. Now, for me, that is wicked. Because for every day, for 9 years straight, I was using some sort of substance. Whether that be in tablet form, whether that be in powder form, whether that be in a bottle, whether that be in a... I'm trying not to swear because I know I'm being recorded. I'm a greedy person. Here's a few of my favourite things, right? Crack, heroin, spice, diazepam, zopiclones, alcohol, weed, coke, anything that will take me out of the here and now, because I cannot cope with the here and now. So I'm going to reverse it back to the first time I drank and used. I'm not going to give you a long ass war story of what happened to me and all that stuff, because it's not really that pretty, to be honest. I'm just a bog standard addict that's just ended up in horrible situations and put people through hell, basically. Because for years, I always had a lot of self-pity. I always blamed other people, like I've just said. And my bottom lip was always out. But now I can see the truth, and it was my fault. Why all of this stuff was happening around me. I had a part to play in everything. So when I first drank and used, it was so good. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. That my first drink, my first time drinking and using. I was in a club in King's Court in Altrincham. It was an American frat party. I took a line of coke and I felt invincible. I felt on top of the world. I had my t-shirt off. The confidence was growing. I'm only 5'7", but I felt 6'3". I could chat to people. And what I mean by I had arrived is that the fear left me. The fear just oozed out of me. And then it got replaced with confidence. And I literally signed up that day to do this as much as I can. Normal people don't do that. Normal people do not do that. And within the first year of my drinking and using, within the first year of me taking that first line, I was sectioned under the Mental Health Act, drug-induced psychosis, attempts on my own life. And that's within the first year of my drinking. So it wasn't going well. It wasn't going well. I'm not one of these that it dragged out, but that doesn't make me different to you. If you're in the room tonight and it's took you 20 years to come to a place that took me for the first year, it doesn't matter. I'll explain what makes me an addict in a little minute. 13 sections later, numerous hotels, numerous broken relationships, numerous jobs walking out of, numerous prison cells, numerous attempts on my own life, hospital visits later. I just remember being sat outside Tim Hortons on Berry New Road in Manchester, begging from a cup, injecting, smoking crack, taking methadone, living on the streets. But my first time drinking and using, I had a job and it was only a line in a club, enjoying myself. 9 years that took me. What happened to me? So what happened to me is that I suffer from an illness. And the only reason why I know this is because I got myself a sponsor that knew what he was talking about. And he took me through the 12 steps. He took me through the identification process. Because you give me a solution right now without me knowing the problem, I'm not going to go to any lengths to do it. I'm not. So I need to know what I suffer with first to then put the action in. Does that make sense? So the problem that I suffer with is I'm a cunt, right? No, I'm joking. That isn't why I'm an addict. Why am I an addict? Because when I haven't got a substance inside of me, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I'm suicidal, I'm full of self-pity, I'm full of fear, full of ego. Word that one out. My self-esteem's on the floor, but my ego's up here. How does that even work? I'm irritable, I'm restless, and I'm discontent. And the way my sponsor puts it is, I'm bored, I'm pissed off, and I'm ungrateful. And if I sit in that long enough, the chatter of 1,000 monkeys is going to come into my head and tell me it's a really good idea. And here is a brilliant idea, Lewis, of how you should successfully use this time. And I had many of them. And I'll give you one example. I was in a rehab, I was 10 weeks clean and sober, and it was so painful. So painful. Because I thought if you just stop the drugs and take me out of that situation, everything will be all right. And it was for the first couple of weeks. I was eating right, I was sleeping better. My mum started to talk to me. I got them new pair of trainers. I got that new tracksuit, started to go on the sunbeds. I got my hair cut. All them external things are starting to feel a little bit better. But it's like putting a knife over a plaster wound over a knife, plaster over a knife wound. The blood's gonna start seeping out of it. And that's what started to happen to me week 10. I was running around that rehab, ego, massive, demanding that you should be cleaning the kitchen today and I'll do this, just basically directing the show. And I've done that all of my life. I've always had people on little strings like puppets. And if they don't do what I say, I don't like you. I'll remove you from my life. So week 10 come, and that, and if you knew, you'd relate, that don't feel right. I just feel stressed and fucking anxious and depressed, and this isn't working. I thought 10 weeks into rehab and I'm doing counselling and therapy and all of this Reiki stuff, and I'm just bursting at the seams. I'd do anything to take a drug right now. And that's exactly what happened. But before that happened, I came up with a really good idea that I'm going to leave the rehab. I'm only going to smoke weed. I'm going to get myself a flat. I'm going to get myself a job, not a legit job, cash in hand job, right? So I can keep my benefits, right? Dishonest. Within me walking out of that rehab within an hour, I was smoking crack in an alleyway. None of this came true. I didn't go to the weed. I went straight to the stuff that does it for me. And then for 3 or 4 years, I was just off and running. until the 6th of November 2021 come, and I had no more answers. I had no more. No one would help me. Everyone told me to do one. Get away from me. My dad had an asbo out on me. I weren't allowed near my mum's house. I was just roaming the streets, empty. Like, just my soul had left my body. And I was sat outside Tim Hortons, and two people came up to me and 12-stepped me from CA. And it was COVID time, just before everything shut down. They said, we'll pick you up at 5 o'clock. It was about 11:30, roughly about 11:30. They said, we'll come pick you up at 5 o'clock. So I was like, right, okay. Previous to this, if you told me you're going to help me, I would run 100 miles away from that. I would literally run a mile from it. But for some weird reason, I stayed. And for some weird reason, I let him pick me up. And for some weird reason, I ended up in a field, because obviously the procedures are locked down and all that. You weren't allowed in rooms and stuff. I was in a field, crying my eyes out, saying I need help in front of strangers in a meeting of Cocaine Anonymous. Never been to a CA meeting before this, just crying. And at that point, I admitted complete defeat, but I didn't even know it. And luckily, there was a man there that owned a supported housing, and he gave me his card. And cut a long story short, a week later, I ended up in these houses with nothing but a bag on my back. I had no phone, no bank card, no nothing. I was. It's like my life had just been deleted, and I'm restarting again, I'm rebooting again. And a man stood in front of me, and I've been in rehabs, I've been in detoxes, I've been in doctors' rooms, I've been in, I've been offered weird and wonderful stuff of how you can get well, and none of it worked. But this man slid a book in front of me, and it was a big book of AA. And he said, these four walls ain't going to keep you clean and sober. So if you're new on the meeting tonight, and you are one of us, this meeting will not keep you clean and sober. The meetings alone will not keep you clean and sober. My experience. He slid the book in front of me, and he said, you need to get on a meeting quick. So I went on a Zoom meeting. There's a man on this meeting, actually. I'm not going to mention his name because he's very chivalrous. He saved my life. He literally saved my life. He was one of the men that got put in my path that helped me get to where I am today. I ended up in an international meeting. I put in big capital letters, please help me. Please help me. Again, vulnerable. And I don't even know what happened. I don't know whether he messaged me, rang me, but for some weird reason, I ended up on a Wednesday night meeting. I think it was, I can't even remember. I was batshit crazy. I just remember I ended up on a meeting that was solution-based. And people were saying they were recovered. And people were holding big books, and people were talking about the solution, and people were lit up. And at the end of it, I heard 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, 3 years, 2 years, 12 years, clean time. And I just absolutely, because I've been around people that are like 2 days, 4 days, 30 days, back from a relapse, dead, got a funeral next week. And then I come into a meeting and everyone's happy, and it's like something got ignited inside of me. Something lit up inside of me. I think I shared on that meeting. I don't even know how I shared on it, because I'm sure you have to be a step 5. I can't even remember, but I shared. And a man rang me after the meeting, and I'll politely say it, he went, what the, was that? He said, please don't share on meetings like that ever again. He said, I'll be your sponsor. So he kidnapped me. He says he sponsors me. I say he kidnapped me. Best kidnap I've ever had in my life, by the way. He showed me what to do. He showed me love, but in a direct way. Not control, not fluffy, emotional appeal seldom suffices. That's the only word I know in the big book, by the way. Basically, no mollycoddling. You're going to die if you don't do this. This is what I do. And gave me the 5 fundamentals. And my journey started from there. So he gave me these simple, clear-cut directions. He said, highlight your big book. You've got 7 days to highlight it. Otherwise, you can go and find a new sponsor. I thought, I'm not going to pull the wool over this guy's eyes. The reason why I was saying that is because if you knew, time's ticking. You've got to wait. If you are on this meeting tonight and you haven't got a sponsor and you haven't done a step and it's your first meeting and you are, once you put one in, you can't stop, and once you can't stop, you can't stay stopped, and you get worse when you're clean and sober, never better. Something has gave you a window of opportunity, breathing space, but that window is going to close on you soon, unless you put the relevant action in. So anyway, he put a cup in front of him, sorry, and he said, "How far do you think we are from this drug and drink today?" And I said, I can't remember what I said. I was doolally at the time. And he prayed and he took a step back. And then he meditated and took another step back. And he wrote a gratitude list and took another step back. And he rang his sponsor on time and took another step back. He listened to a speaker tape, took another step back, went on a meeting, did some inventory, rang 2 newcomers. And before I know it, he was so far away from the cup. So what that was illustrating, what that was teaching me is the more action I put in on a daily basis, the further away I'm going to get away from that drug and drink that day. That's what it was teaching me. So I started to do these things. I detoxed in 13 days. Horrendous. I detoxed off diazepam, Zopiclone, methadone. I came off it. And then before I know it, I was at step 3. I made a decision there and then to hand my will and my life over to the care of God as understood him. And I got a piece of paper and I wrote down everything. 4 to 9, I cleared the wreckage of my past. It was fact-finding, fact-facing. Drugs are not my problem. There was a problem. There will be a problem. But right here, right now, they're not a problem because they're not inside of my system. So I need to get rid of that guilt. I need to get rid of that remorse. I need to get rid of that shame. I need to cleanse me. So I went through that process. At step 9, I went to make amends to people. I know I haven't got long left, so I'm not going to go through them. And then I got given a set of tools, step 10, 11, and 12, and I religiously stay within that. And I have done ever since I got to that step. I take regular inventory. I have a good look at myself. Because I've got a little bit of clean time now, I am crazy still, right? If I don't stay close to the triangle. And step 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to addicts and practice the principles in all my affairs. My life has never been better. Never been better. Materialistically, peacefully, went through college when I was 6 months clean. Had no qualifications, had no grades. When I did my English and maths, look, I needed to build a solid foundation in recovery. I didn't get this straight after I got through the 12 steps. Once I got through the 12 steps, I had 3 service commitments. No, that's a lie. I had about 5. I was on 7 meetings a week. I had about 5 service commitments. So see the guys, see Dave that's sat in the chair, see Ash that's recording it, see, what's his name? I'm so sorry, I forgot your name. The meter and greeter that welcomed you in at the start. Service commitment. Get a home group, get a service commitment. And that's how I built my solid foundation. I'm going to sound a bit contradictory. I still do the necessary stuff on a daily basis, but I get to live my life today. If I want to, after this meeting, go on a night out, I can do. Not that I will, because I've got no reason to, but if someone said, Lewis, there's a birthday party, Weatherspoons, are you up for it? Yeah, because the problem has been removed. I've been to festivals. I ended up in a drum and bass event in a pub. People were sniffing cat around me. It did not faze me one little bit. I was loving life. The problem has been removed from me. so long as I stay in fit spiritual condition. This program isn't for when you're all happy and chippy and skipping through the roses, as they say. This program is for when life turns up, when deaths happen in your family, when relationships break down, when losses of jobs come. This program is designed to work in rough going. And I've had all of that. I've had my dad die 2 years ago. I've had my baby die 4 weeks after. Relationship breakdown 2 months ago. It's been painful, but normal people go through that. But I'm able to act kind of sane around it. But I'm able to, because of this toolkit that I've got, I'm able to think rationally and act like a normal person would act in that situation. I'll give you one example, then I'll leave it on this. My uncle died when I was in addiction. I sniffed cocaine. I ruined the after party. I made it all about me. My dad died in recovery. I got into the book with a sponsee. I made sure my mum was all right because she's lost her first ever boyfriend and husband. I made sure other people were all right. I was accountable. I was responsible. I arranged his funeral. I arranged his belongings and his stuff. Do you know, I can't even sorted out his affairs. Me sorted out his affairs. It's mad. I carried his casket. I made sure everyone was all right. That is the difference in what this program offers. Because all I would have done is for how much am I getting? Wonder how much is left me in his will. Let's sniff cocaine and let's ruin the night. I no longer suffer from the problem of the obsession to drink and use. It is a wonderful, wonderful experience. Please do not miss it. If you're new, get a big book, get a sponsor, and come on to Richmond Wednesday night, 8 o'clock. I'll leave it there. Thank you for letting me share.